All right, so what's up? I literally just got done speaking with a local nurse here in Clarksville, Tennessee, who works at Tennova. And she said that Tennova called her and her, HR director, or whoever you want to call it, maybe, I don't know. She didn't really say the title or name of the individual who called her, but at our local hospital, they already tried to call her and say, when would you like to get your COVID vaccine next week? Folks, I'm here on DuckDuckGo checking out FDA approves or approved first COVID vaccine. I Googled it, and guess what? Find nothing. Everything is that Pfizer will seek emergency use approval for their COVID vaccine. That's everything in terms of searching for FDA approves COVID vaccine, first COVID vaccine approved by the FDA. Nothing, even the FDA's website does not say that they've approved the vaccine. But somehow our hospital locally has been stocked with a COVID vaccine. So they've been stocked with an unapproved COVID vaccine already. And luckily this nurse is educated, informed. She knows that this is experimental science that they're utilizing. This is the first time ever they've used mRNA vaccines that will alter the DNA genetic expression of your cells, thus creating a genetic response in your body that will produce a protein that is like the spike protein on the COVID virus, thus somehow training your immune system. But my question is, how long is your body going to produce this protein that it shouldn't be producing in the first place? And is there a stop mechanism and your body's going to stop doing that? And she's like, and they're very critical about if we get this vaccine. She's talking about the nurses, the healthcare facility workers in this hospital who are going to get this vaccine next week. So I guess, mark my words, you would think before they start giving it to their staff and scheduling people for appointments to receive the vaccine, the FDA would have approved the vaccine. But so far, there's no FDA approval, at least not that I can find. If somebody wants to check me on that, and fact checkers want to do it, I'm free. Sure, I would love for you to show me on the FDA's website where they've already approved a COVID vaccine. And if they haven't, y'all think they know exactly what they're doing. They've already bought off the FDA members, in my opinion. That's what they've done in the past. FDA panelists, these people that approve this vaccine, they already know the way they're voting. It's sadly so much like politics. The way politicians are voting on certain bills and legislation, they already know before the public even hears about the bill. All right? They wouldn't be stocking and scheduling appointments for people to get the vaccine next week if they didn't, one, know that the FDA is going to approve the vaccine. They wouldn't do it. They know it. This is ridiculous. The system is rigged. This is how you know the system is rigged. If even beforehand, the manufacturers of the vaccine are stockpiling hospitals with the vaccine before it's even approved. And this isn't even, that's theory. Like why our hospital is already scheduling people to get the COVID vaccine, which again, this was a nurse, so she's a worker at the hospital. She's an employee at the hospital. So maybe they're getting it before it's approved. And I just think that's not respectful that's disrespect towards our healthcare workers, all right, our nurses. Luckily, they were very polite when she said, I'm just going to let you know, there's no way I'm getting this vaccine. And her employer, the person scheduling the COVID vaccine appointment, was like, that's okay. Just want to let you know that we have the vaccine. They have the vaccine. Now, what I feel is critical for people to understand is that this vaccine, the effectiveness was not based on reductions in hospitalizations, was not based on reductions in transmission. It was not based in anything that really matters in the real world. It was symptomatic. Tylenol could reduce symptoms like this. So it's not about reducing death rates. infection rates, hospitalization rates. It could actually increase hospitalization rates as long as it doesn't do it with somebody getting a sneeze and a sniffle. As long as it does it in a different fashion, it could increase hospitalization rates. It could increase death rates. As long as it does it by some other mechanism other than PCR positive pneumonia, COVID pneumonia. Folks, the British Medical Journal, will COVID-19 vaccine save lives? All right, I'm going to turn my phone around and make sure that you can see it on my screen here. So you should be able to screenshot that, snap it, grab it, whatever. Will COVID-19 vaccines save lives? Current trials aren't designed to tell us. So the way in which the FDA is going to even approve this vaccine and claim that it has effectiveness, which again, to the layperson, effectiveness of a vaccine would mean that it reduces transmission, it reduces your risk of spreading it to somebody else, or effectiveness would mean that it's going to protect the person who gets it from getting severely sick and possibly dying. Okay, that's what most people believe effectiveness is defined as when they talk about vaccines being effective. But point blank, the manufacturers of the vaccines, the people doing the studies themselves have already admitted that their trials are not looking for any of those factors. They're not going to look at it reduces death rates. They're not going to look if it reduces mortality from pneumonia or if it reduces the spread of the infections. All right. In fact, people could actually spread this virus to other people, like the flu virus. The flu vaccine, people received it 2 years in a row, actually had 6.7 times more aerosolized viral shedding, not from the virus they got from the vaccine, but if they got the vaccine 2 years in a row, when they got the virus, they had 670% higher viral shedding when they breathed than unvaccinated counterparts who were also sick. Sick is a lucrative term. It's a very vague term. They had symptoms. So people who had the vaccine 2 years in a row spread more virus. That's what we've seen in past vaccines. Even in school children who got the vaccine, their families had higher rates of a need for medical attention for infectious diseases. That was New England Journal of Medicine. All right. And if you want to check my science, go jump on my website, thewilddoc.com, and go through my videos. I reference in every single one of the studies. I'm doing this video on the fly, so I'm not going to go back and do this right now. I might get you the science that I'm talking about later. My staff will. But I just showed you, will COVID vaccines save lives? Current trials are not designed to tell you that. And those are the current trials. Those current trials that are designed not to tell us if the vaccine can save lives and reduce transmission. Those are the trials the FDA is supposed to be using to approve its use for the world, or at least the United States, when we're talking about the Federal Food and Drug Administration here in the United States. But my point here, how in the world does Tennova Hospital in Clarksville, Tennessee have the vaccines already if they're not even approved by the FDA? Or does somehow they just know? They just flat out already know it's going to be approved. And the reality is the hype around this vaccine, they're going to approve it. It's simple as that. There's way too much money. There's been way too many opportunities for our FDA officials to get bought off like they have been in the past. And I've got articles in science behind how FDA officials get bought off by industry all the time. All right. I mean, there's scientific studies about it. It's ridiculous. So they already know it's going to be approved. But I just think it ironic and funny that they're already attempting to schedule people to get the vaccine next week, saying we have it in stock. We want to get you on the schedule so you can get your vaccine. But yet I even asked her, I didn't even know the FDA approved the vaccine. She said, no, I don't think it has yet. And I'm like, so how do they have stockpiled already? And how do they have it on their shelves ready to sell? They ain't gonna put it on their shelves ready to sell unless they know they're gonna make some money on it. Y'all, this is all planned. It's planned, all right? And they don't care whether the vaccine saves lives or not. The industry only cares about making money off of you. That's it. The pharmaceutical industry cares nothing about your children, your life, and neither does the FDA. All right? Just I think it's Food and Drug Administration, FDA, Food and Drug Administration, out of sight, out of mind, out of peer-reviewed science or peer-reviewed literature. If you Google what I just said, that title, Food and Drug Administration, out of sight, out of mind. If you go to my website, thewilddoc.com, subscribe to the email list, get all these videos, at least get alerted when I get kicked off for, probably YouTube and Facebook. But if you go there and you search that, FDA, out of sight, out of mind, you'll probably get one of my videos where I mention that peer-reviewed scientific study, I believe it was JAMA, Journal of American Medical Association, found that the FDA allows fraud to take place. So the FDA actually could know that fraud has taken place in the COVID vaccine trials, and they don't care. They will still approve a drug, and they will do nothing to suppress the financial gain of the pharmaceutical industry, even when they know fraud has been used to make the vaccine or drug look good. And Journal of American Medical Association published a study about how ridiculous our FDA is in the first place. So really it doesn't matter whether it's approved or not, because the FDA is nothing but a organization that makes the appearance of doing something for the public good, when in actuality, it's nothing more than a front group in big pharmacia-owned organization to do what they basically abide by their beck and call. That's what the FDA does for the pharmaceutical and vaccine industry. So, local nurse, Clarksville, Tennessee, I'm telling you right now, she told me they got the vaccine at the hospital and they're already scheduling for injections next week. And luckily she's smart enough to say, no, thank you. But they got an unapproved vaccine right now, again. Love it, Nancy. I will not comply. Y'all, do what you can. The best thing you could possibly do is tag a friend or family member in this video, comment, do a like, a share. Tell me what you think about that. If you're a nurse and you've already been called on the phone and said, hey, because I would like confirmation of this. This is one nurse. I do know that Tennessee is supposed to be one of 4 states in the United States that is going to be the trial run on how they're going to implement the mass vaccination campaigns. So Tennessee is being targeted by the pharmaceutical industry. One reason is because of Vanderbilt, Vandy, one of the, just horrible hospital. Like, honestly, I understand that some people think that, and there's children's lives have been saved in emergency care. Emergency medicine, if you break your arm, if you're in a car accident, if you're having a heart attack, some of these hospitals, Tennova even, can save your life in an emergency situation. And thank God for the emergency care workers that are capable and trained to do that. But the reality is, when it comes down to keeping people healthy, they're not working very well. We have way too many kids with cancer, way too many kids with neurological disabling conditions like autism and others. So the hospitals aren't doing what parents want, which is a healthy, thriving child, providing parents the opportunity to have the healthiest and most thriving children possible. So I have my issues with that. So I'm sorry that I may have offended somebody because I don't like Vandy, but that's a major reason. They get a lot of pharmaceutical funding. They are pushing vaccines, all right? So Tennessee is one of those 4 states that are pushing the vaccine hardcore. It's supposed to be like a trial, state for figuring out how to best mass vaccinate the population. Luckily, we have a governor who says now, which is to my surprise, but thankfulness, that he said they will not force vaccinate children to go to school. They will not make them get this COVID vaccine. It will be optional. So I was very, very pleased to hear that and see that. But again, I don't know where I was going with that other than, if you're a nurse, that's what it was. If you're a nurse somewhere, I would love confirmation. And I understand that maybe you posting and commenting on Facebook may put your livelihood, your career at risk. But if you are willing to speak up, you know what? We do have the freedom of speech, and I hope that you will exercise that. I would love confirmation from other nurses around the United States that have watched this. If you know a nurse, please do post, maybe comment and tag them in this video, and maybe they'll be willing to confirm what this nurse is saying. And I trust this nurse very, very, very much. I know her to be a very strong Christian. She's in a family, her son is a pastor locally here. So an amazing, amazing church. and I'm not going to say who or what, anything like that, but the reality is this. Guess what? She said they are already scheduling people to get their COVID vaccine next week. And again, this is an currently unapproved vaccine, but somehow hospitals already have it in stock, ready to go. So they know what they're doing, pre-planned. All right. Love you all. Please do whatever you can to get the word out. And if you want to discuss or have whatever, I just hope people do have that knowledge that the biggest thing I would say I would want from like this video to be taken to heart and given to people is the fact that effective in terms of this vaccine, science has not shown and was not designed to show that they could reduce the transmission of this illness, or that they could reduce hospitalization, severe illness, or that they could reduce death. It has not been shown to do that. It was not even studied to do that. They did not attempt to look at that, which is actually what people want. When taking a medical intervention, they hope to live longer and not get sick. And in terms of vaccine, the majority of the population with good hearts wanting to protect other people, they would think, oh, an effective vaccine must mean that if I get the vaccine, then I'm putting my Aunt Thelma, I don't know why I use Thelma, my Grandpa Eddie, Uncle Eddie. We're going to protect Uncle Eddie. He's battling cancer. Let's go get the effective vaccine, because effective in their mind means I would get the vaccine and have less chance of spreading the virus to them, and thus they would feel like they're doing something good for their family members. But that's not what effectiveness is defined as in the science. So do what you want. Spread the word if you want. I appreciate it if you do. Please do share the truth. Don't just like it. And what I mean by that, you got to hit that share button or tag somebody in this video. Thank you. Love you. Bye.